Welcome back, fam. And for today's discussion, we're going to discuss recent happenings online with a popular TikToker. Okay, she's taken umbrage with everyone's interpretations on the content she's presented to social media. And before we begin, if you enjoy this content, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. So let's begin. So this particular content creator on TikTok goes by the alias of MyTherapistLife. And according to her website, she's a 20-year licensed mental health professional who specializes in early childhood trauma and toxic relationship healing. She's worked in a variety of places, such as jails, psych hospitals, and even nursing homes. And she's also a TV personality with fancy degrees. And so this person should be well versed in handling different sorts of personalities, different sorts of people who just do not agree with her point of view on things. And that's what we're going to look into, right? We're going to explore things from her perspective and try to understand the content that she's been creating for our consumption. All right, so let's begin.
After I gave him the ultimatum, he just looked at me in my face and was like, if you feel like you need to move, move. And so we went through 3 months of like chicken, where I had no friends in Vegas, no family in Vegas. I just really blurted that out. I did not mean it. I had no intention. I had no job. I had nothing. I had no plans on moving to Vegas. I thought I was going to force this man to propose to me. For 3 months, he was like, do what you got to do. You want to move, move. So the last day I was putting my stuff in the car, he came over and helped me put my stuff in the car, and we putting stuff in the trunk, and I just started crying. I'm like, you really gonna let me leave? He looked at me and he said, have a safe trip.
He cared just that much. He cared. Wow. Okay. Just to recap what she said, I'm not gonna explain it better than she can. I'm just gonna recap for everyone in my own words how I understand it, right? So she gave a guy the marry me ultimatum, of which he declined, and she disagreed with his decline. Then she decided to play chicken, right? For 3 months, she became unhinged, blurting things out, thinking that she could force this man into rethinking his choice. Yeah, but this man stood firm on his position and even helped this woman achieve her goals, right? Helped her pack the car so she could leave. Oh. She cried and he bid her farewell. In fact, I could distill my interpretation down even further than that, because no one really listens to every single word used in any conversation, newscast, or even any rumor, right? So let me distill it down even further than that. She attempted to play games with someone who wasn't interested, and she didn't like the outcome. She didn't like the outcome. We can tell she didn't like it by the last frame, the last look on her face at the very end of the video, a look of dissatisfaction, okay? And see, this is the problem with social media, right? This video, the video that she presented to the rest of the world via TikTok, via short form content creation, right? This short form platform. Yeah, it only allows so much information to be conferred, and it's because of that, what's left out is left to one's own imagination. Maybe she didn't understand it. Who knows? This woman is a 20-year mental health professional. So what's a mental health professional? I asked myself, and apparently, according to NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, these are master-level healthcare professionals that are trained to evaluate a person's mental health and use therapeutic techniques based on specific training programs. These can include counselors, therapists, and other things. This 20-year healthcare professional should have been well versed in how to work with someone who's disagreeable. But therein lies the issue. We don't know any of the backstory. We don't know what led up to the story that she's sharing with everyone, which is understandable. You only get like 40 seconds to tell a story. But what doesn't make sense to me is her reaction to someone else's reaction on her story. Okay? You can tell a story to anyone, everywhere, anywhere. What you're going to find is they're only going to listen to so much of that story before they start applying their own experience, right? You can't tell a story to another person and have them receive the exact same story, the same imagery, the same context, the same nuance. You just can't do that and expect everyone to be on the same page. So when you're met with a disagreement, when you're met with a bit of a misinterpretation of your content, you just can't fault somebody for it. And that leads us to our next video. Same person, but this time her content has changed. It's become something else. It is no longer helpful as the rest of it is. All right, now let's look at it.
Okay, so that happened, and the comments were absolutely out of control, insane, abusive, anything you can imagine. And so to protect my sanity and the sanity of other creators on this app, I have decided to group men into 4 categories, and you let me know what you think about these categories. I'll do 2 at a time. So the first one would be our allies. And by our, I mean feminists. And by feminists, I mean the radical idea that women are people. That's what a feminist is, period. So there are male allies, male identifying allies, who definitely step into this category. They've done their work. They understand that misogyny internalized is a byproduct of living in this culture, and no man is immune. And so then there's another group of men who actually do think women are equal and are people, and they want to know more. They have questions. They are respectful. They're not aggressive. They're not confrontational.
Okay. Her reaction to Oshay Duke Jackson, his take on what she shared with the world, is that she doesn't like his reaction. Imagine that. Someone's telling you a story and you don't like the way they receive it. Picture that. If you look just behind her, Oshay's got so many subscribers, right? He has a large audience. And then we can see that within one day, this video had over 50,000 views. That means that there's plenty of people that agree with Oshay's point of view. And if they agree with Oshay's point of view, then they might just disagree with hers. Within one day, this video was viewed over 50,000 times, quite possibly far more than that now. Is it because he has X amount of audience? Sure. Yeah, but that like button says over 3,000 people agreed with his point of view on this. Over 3,000 people could sympathize with his interpretation of her content. And that's what's important going forth, okay? We have a distinction here. We have a person telling a story and then a different person retelling the story, right? We have Oshay giving his rendition, his perspective on her content, and she would be the original content provider. So what's her reaction to his reaction? Her reaction would be to compartmentalize and then create groups to designate men into specific columns, right? Specific groupings, right? The first two groups that she's mentioned, one would be their allies. If they agree with the idea that women are people. I've been on this earth for some time. Not once have I ever heard a man or anyone refer to a woman as not a person. I think that's made up. And at the same time, she gives her definition of what would be a feminist ally, an ally of feminism, that being a person that believes that internalized misogyny is a byproduct of this culture, right? Is a byproduct of this culture. If you have a problem with the byproduct, then you have a problem with the product as a whole. Thus, your problem would be with society, right? So these comments coming from a therapist, they're a bit alarming. First reaction is to segment the population. Next one is to create distinctions among the segments, right? Where have you heard that one before? I'm not going to go into that. But the second grouping of men, she really doesn't give titles to these groupings. But if I had to guess, I would say that this would be the we are equal group, right? These would be the guys that want to know more, that aren't aggressive. There's another problem here. Another problem with her distinction. I see where she's going with this, and I understand her perspective, right? But to say that to be a part of this group, you would have to be non-aggressive and want to know more. Wouldn't they be a part of the first group as well? Wouldn't they be a part of the group that understands that women are people? Misogyny is a byproduct of this culture, right? So she's creating subgroups of groups. Now let's continue.
Last two groups of men could not be any more different. One is the man that's actually doing every single thing we talk about, communicative, vulnerable, in therapy, loving their partner, raising their children, washing dishes.
All right, I'm gonna stop this right here. I believe that this 20-year therapist is playing up stereotypes in pop culture, right? That men just don't do dishes, don't help out around the house, that we don't take care of our children, that we don't participate in the raising of our children. And the condescending inflection that's used, I think that doesn't serve her very well. You get more flies with honey. If anyone were to be in discussion with a disagreeable person, why would you choose to inflame that person? Why would you choose to infuriate this person using stereotypes, false stereotypes? Okay? This is a 20-year therapist using language like this. Let's continue.
Doing the things that we all want. These men do exist, but they are largely silent. They are not on social media. They are not, I don't want to say bragging, but they're not talking about the roles that they play. They're silent allies.
So these men are silent allies, probably for good reason, right? But who cares about what they think? Because they need to be allies, and they're being grouped simply because they don't challenge other men, simply because they keep their opinions to themselves. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of people who watch videos all day, every day, and they don't leave a comment. I'm sure if you look behind her, over 50,000 views on this video, but you will not see 50,000 comments, okay? That's because people have the right and the prerogative to keep their comment to themselves, all right? You don't have to jump in every conversation, especially not this day and age.
And then there are the group of problematic alpha male podcasters.
Gonna stop it right there. Problematic. What makes this man problematic, right? What makes this man problematic? Is it because his viewpoint differs from hers? Or is it because she sees him as something else, right? Is it because she's giving him a backstory that fits her narrative? Who knows? I could tell you one thing, the way she's moving her hands right now, that's indicative of a hostile person, of a person who's becoming increasingly aggressive. You didn't see that with Oshay. If you ever watched the video, you didn't see him throwing his hands around like that. You didn't see that. And this is a 20-year therapist doing this, by the way.
Got a microphone off of Amazon, and now they think they're an expert, willing to go toe-to-toe with myself and other professionals. It's not going to happen.
There it goes.
To protect
Kevin Samuel says this whole thing all the time, man. All the time. This is signs. Shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. So what if he bought a mic off Amazon? How is that relevant to the conversation? Okay? And see, that's what she's missing out on. Okay? That's what she's missing out on. That's where the disconnect is. When you put content out into the internet, like when you put content out on social media, everyone becomes your equal at that point. Everyone has equal opportunity unless you block them. Everybody's got equal opportunity to object to your opinion, to your findings, to question your theories. And I suspect shortly, this 20-year therapist that has worked in hospitals, jails, and nursing homes, who should have had ample exposure to men who disagree with her ideas, I suspect she is going to choose to silence this person and anyone like him. Let's see. It's my first time seeing this, man. She's got plenty of videos. I just went from one to another. Okay? Let's see.
my energy, protect your energy. I encourage all of us collectively to breathe and let them go, let them talk to each other, because us engaging them is creating frustration for us. We're done with that. We're dealing with people who actually want to converse and want to learn. They don't want to. Let's allow them to do them and be them and leave us alone.
I called it. I called it. I called that. I called it. So the plan, her plan, rather than to have a discussion with this person, is to silence him. Silence him how, right? Not by getting his channel taken away. Silence him by galvanizing her following to actively ignore this person. Whatever happened to communication? That's a problem. That's a big problem in our day-to-day conversations, man. And this is why Some men find it difficult to carry on a conversation with some women because if what you say doesn't match up with what they say, because if what is said doesn't match a narrative, if it's counter to the narrative, then you got a problem, right? Then you got a problem. This is a 20-year therapist, people. How is she helping anyone? By shutting down the conversation, by shutting down communication. In fact, this woman has missed out on a great opportunity to get some understanding, right? To share her beliefs, right? Not just communicate with Oshay, but to bridge the gap for everyone else. No. This is a 20-year therapist, man. She would rather shut down the conversation and then make herself the victim in all this because of content she put out in social media. Make that make sense. You know, as a side note, I had a situation very similar to this, man. Not as though I objected to someone's content. No, it was something so small, it could have had wide-ranging ramifications for me, man. And what was it, right? It was something so minuscule, right? Something so ridiculous. I had to let it go. And it was this Instagram post, right? I'm going to blur out her name. I'm going to blur out everybody's name, but let me know if you can spot it. I'm going to read it, okay? May you be protected from low vibrating, inauthentic, non-reciprocating energy. Did you catch it? Okay, you got to look closely at the wording. Inauthentic. I had to look that up. I looked at it for 5-10 seconds. I was questioning my own reality. I'm like, yo, is this right? I even looked it up. Thank God. Thank God I wasn't losing it. This word was misspelled. But if you look, I saw that 11 people left comments, right? 11 people left comments. Surely they would address this. No, they didn't, right? It says, thank you, fire hands, right? Hands, whatever that is. Amen. I receive this and anything that has to do with positive affirmations, right? This is the problem right here, right? No one is giving actual help here. Maybe I'm just being petty. I don't know. I see a misspelled word. I'm going to tell someone, hey, man, I want to help you out. That thing's wrong, okay? Screw the message, man. Your message may be on point, but because you misspelled a word, someone's going to see that and then they're going to be distracted. That's what happened to me. Ain't everybody the same as me. I didn't jump in the comment section and get hostile with people. No, I kept my mouth shut, kept it moving, man. But therein lies the issue. What if I did say something? Would I be called a misogynist? Would I be called aggressive? Well, who knows? This would explain why the third grouping of men that she named just stay silent. Maybe they recognize this whole thing. Man, if I say something, it could get me canceled. If I say something, that could probably cost me money. That's the issue with all this. That's the issue with TikTok. That's the issue with social media. That's the issue with this woman's post. That's the issue with Oshay's interpretation of her post, is that there's no backstory, but there's ramification. Okay? But let me know what you think. Maybe I misinterpreted this whole thing. Maybe I should have kept silent, right? But either way, leave a comment below and be sure to hit that like button. Share it with your friends, whatever. And, let's grow together, not apart. Peace.